So at this point, we have just a few final details in converting our SVG graphic so that we can use it in all different states of our responsive design. So first, let's go back to our text editor. Let's come in here to our path polygon fill. Let's come in here and set the color to be white. So we'll put in 3 Fs here. Hit save, go back to the browser, let's hit reload. So now the artwork is showing up in white down here. Next, let's go back to our project file. Let's open up the CSS folder and let's open the file called screen.css up in our text editor. So now what we need to do inside of our CSS is make sure we're using the same graphic for all different responsive design states, as well as making some background adjustments since the small version of the logo and the large version of the logo have different bounding box sizes. So inside of the screen.css file, let's scroll down and we're looking for the media query where we set the maximum screen width to 425 pixels. So once we find this breakpoint in the media query, we'll come down here and we can see our header space a.logo. We have a width here set to 126 pixels. We're going to come in here and first change this to 124. By setting the width here to 124, that's going to activate the inline CSS style inside of the SVG graphic. Next, we'll come over here and change the height to 20 pixels. This will match the size of the artwork that's inside of the SVG for the small graphic. And next we'll come in here and get rid of the background image property. This is where we switch the graphic from the large to the small SVG. But again, we want to use the same graphic at all times. So we'll just come in here and remove that completely. And now the logo.svg graphic will be used here in addition to all of the other sizes. We'll keep the top property at 15 pixels. And there's one other setting that we're going to need to override, and that is the background size. Now previously in the CSS, we set the background for the logo to a background size value of contain, which tells the browser to scale those graphics until either the height or the width matches the HTML parent's size. So if we size those elements in proportion with CSS, the graphics will automatically conform and fit to those sizes. Now the problem that we're going to have here is the bounding box for the large version is different than the bounding box for the small version. But since they're in the same SVG file, they have to have the same bounding area. So what this means is when the small version of the logo is showing, the bounding box is still going to be the size of the overall graphic. And it's going to scale the graphic in the container in a way that we don't want. So what we're going to do here is reassign the background size from contain to an absolute number value so we can clip or crop the extra graphic from the SVG with the anchor tag. And this will give us our desired sizing for the small version of the logo. So back in our CSS file, we'll set background size. For the width, we're going to set this to 124 pixels. And then for the height, we're going to set this to 51 pixels. So you'll notice here that the background size width property here matches the width of the element. However, the height of the anchor tag is 20 pixels and the height of the overall SVG is 51 pixels. So to see the small version of the graphic, we only need to see the first 20 pixels of the overall 51 pixels that make up the entire SVG bounding box. And once you have all of these CSS rules in place, save all of your files. Let's go back to the browser, hit reload. And then as we resize the browser, we can now see that the SVG graphic is responding by displaying different versions of its artwork based on the CSS rules embedded in media queries that are controlling the size.